Hello and welcome. Hope you guys are having a fabulous day. And if you're in the States, hopefully you had a wonderful long weekend. I appreciate you joining me today. I'm going to be working on paper and you are welcome to paint along with me. I'm also happy to answer any questions for you. And we'll just kind of, go with the flow today and just have some fun together. So I'm going to wait a few minutes here and have some folks join in before I get started. Feel free to leave me a comment. Let me know if you can hear me. And also, let me know where you're from. Tell me about where you're from and tell me also how you're doing in terms of coping with COVID-19 and how that's going for you. I'll tell you, for me, it honestly didn't make a huge impact on my daily life because I was already creating from my studio. And so I was already spending a lot of time at home on my own, in my studio, doing my thing, or in my office, doing desk work. So for me, the impact wasn't, having to go to a job each day. So I've been very fortunate in that regard. Hi, Valerie. Great to see you here. All right, we've got Sheila from Colorado. Hello, Karen. Dawn from Arkansas. Seattle, my old stomping ground. Hi, Claire. I spent almost 20 years in the Seattle area over in Issaquah and Sammamish. All right. And we've got Hilda from Florida. Love it. All right. So glad you guys could be here. Hi, Gail. Haven't chatted with you in quite a while. Hello, Jill from Florida as well. We got Oregon Coast, Jackie, and Chicago. This is great. Louisiana. All right. I love that you guys are all tuning in. You guys ready to have some fun today? I sure am. I'm ready to do something creative. I didn't do any painting yesterday at all. I spent actually the entire day at my desk doing desk work. So I am so ready to jump in here. Hello, Rena. Good to see you here. All right. So while we have some more folks join, sorry you can't see my face and I can't move the camera to have you see me, but I am having you see my desktop so that you can see the work I'll be doing. All right, does everyone have some paper gessoed? I just gessoed this piece, and I'm hoping we're gonna have to test out my camera. Hopefully it won't keep trying to autofocus, because that can be pretty annoying. Oh, and I think it is gonna start autofocusing. All right, you guys, bear with me. I'm gonna have to try to see if I can fix that. Let's see, I'm gonna put some lotion on first. Yep, autofocus is happening. All right, you guys, hang in there. I'm gonna see if I can get that corrected. Let's see. Okay, I'm logging into my camera here. I have a webcam, so I'm gonna log into that. So give me a moment and let me see if I can get it corrected. Okay. Autofocus. Well, my autofocus is off over here, so I'm not sure what's going on. All right, bear with me, folks. I'll be right there. Let me see if I can just get this corrected. Oh, there's always, seems to always be some kind of technical thing going on where I get to be challenged with trying to fix it. And let me All right, I am not seeing where I can fix that because it's not even showing that I've got my camera available. So hopefully you guys can see that pretty clearly. I'm looking at my own screen. Let me look at the comments here. Let's see if I can catch up. Okay, so how is, oh, Kristen and Sammamish. Wow, my old stomping grounds. Okay, consider turning your phone upside down if needed. It's not my phone, it's a webcam that I have. Thank you, Josh, but nope, my phone's right here. So we're gonna get started and hopefully this is gonna be okay. Teresa, sorry your screen's frozen. I think it might be on your side. All right, so what I like to do when I get started is I like to put down some hand lotion just so that the paint doesn't stick to my hands. Doesn't have to be anything special. Any lotion works. I'm kind of reading through comments. All right, so, oh, thank you, Josh. Okay, yeah. So, reporting that you were upside down. Okay. You should be able to see my desktop here, but it might be the reverse. So because I'm on the webcam, it's doing a reverse. So that means this is my right, although on the screen it's on the left. Okay. Teresa, I can't figure out how to take off autofocus. Let's see. She says, put a black X on the paper, and if you have a camera focus on that, then flip. Okay. Thank you, Teresa. I will do that. I shall take this. Well, I'm going to put a black X. Okay. And then I'm supposed to flip the paper over. I don't know if that works or not. Interesting. Okay. All right. Yeah, I'm sorry, guys, if it's blurring. It's also because my page is very white. So why don't I get started, and then I will go back to seeing if I can fix my webcam, because right now it's not even registering my camera. It's not recognizing that my camera is even on, so I don't know why that is. All right. So let's give it a go, and then I'll come back to it. All right, so if you're painting along with me, I've already put down some gesso on this page, and I'm going to start with some mark making, which I like to start with a pencil and do some mark making that way, just to get started, along with my big X. So I think you can kind of see those marks I'm making. And I'm just picking any colors. I don't really think about my colors in the beginning. Just kind of pick some out and put down some marks. Here I'm using, these are the Stabilo. Let's see if I can get that to focus. These are Stabilo Woodies, and I love these. Nice and thick, and they're very creamy, so they kind of go on like a crayon, which I absolutely love about them. All right, so we've got those. I've also got these Color Too Crayons. Love these. These are water soluble, so that means they're going to move around when you put them on. I'll show you my mark making so far. Really just putting down all kinds of marks. Bonnie, you said there's no sound. Are you guys all hearing me? Hopefully, and maybe it's just Bonnie that's having a problem right now. All right, and if you're looking for stuff that is not water soluble, there's also Neocolor 1 that you can put down that are also crayons. I also like to use these Sharpie China markers. So these are not water soluble, so these marks would stay in place once I put something wet over them, like paint or water. All right, I think that's a good start for just getting down a bunch of marks. So I'm multitasking here. I am trying to read your comments and trying to create at the same time. So thank you, Dana, for telling me you guys could hear me. Okay. So feel free to put questions in here and I will try to get through them as best as I can as I'm going. So let me move my coffee out of the way so I don't dip a brush into it. So move a few things here. How many of you folks are going to be painting along with me today? Claudia, I'm sorry, I can't change the camera right now. So, and if I put it behind me, it's hard for me to move my chair around. All right, so the next thing I like to do here is I like to use black. I've got this golden carbon black that my good friend Rena gave me when we were in Mexico, and I'm trying to use it up. She didn't want to take the jar back home with her. So I took it, and I'm still trying to use it up. So I'm going to grab a brush here and just going to dip right in. I'm almost done, Rena, if you're still on. And let's add some black. Now, I like to add a lot of black in the beginning because then I can pick and choose how much black I want poking through at the very end. So if I don't put down enough black at the beginning, I really don't like adding it at the end because it just looks like it's something I added at the very end as opposed to kind of peeking through underneath. So I like to do that. Put that down. I'm just turning my brush around and using the other end and making marks so that I can create some texture. All right. Let's see. All right, I'm not going to be able to read every comment. And see if I can get great tip about the black. Yes, thanks, Carrie. All right. Love all those hearts and happy faces coming across. Thank you. Okay, so now let's put down some, let's get some white. Here's, I've got some white here. All right, so my white is kind of at the end here. Let me grab it down here. Here's my bucket of white. This is Nova. I'm at the very end of it. And I like using gesso for my white. A couple of reasons. One is I use so much of it that I go through a ton of white, and it is just a lot less expensive for me to just use gesso. But the other great thing I love about the white is that, or the gesso, is that it leaves kind of a chalky feel to my paints. And when that happens, as opposed to something shiny, like there's some paints that will dry very plasticky, and they're so shiny that I can't do any mark making on them. But I found that if I use the gesso and I'm mixing it with my paints, then it allows me to be able to do that mark making. All right, so I'm kind of at the tail end of my paints here. I'm going to grab a spatula and scoop some out of here. And this is pretty thick. Normally it's not this thick, but because it's kind of drying up towards the end here, it's a bit thicker than it normally is. Normally I can just pour it out and it's very pourable. Pourable, is that a word? I think pourable is a word. All right, so put that away. I'm just going to smear this, whatever I have here, and set that aside. All right, so what I'd like to do at this point is make some decisions. What am I in the mood for? Am I in the mood to go with some warm colors or with some cool colors? So let's see, I'm going to kind of read your comments real quick, see if there's any questions. Dina says she's keeping Nova paints in business. I love it. I got to place another order myself. All right. House paints. Marilyn, that's awesome if you like using house paints. I used a house paint on a large 6 foot by 6 foot canvas that I created for my own home. And what I found was the paint was cracking. So personally, I won't use house paint for any art that I sell. If it's for my own home, then, you know, I don't mind that. Okay. Again, thank you guys for jumping on here today. All right, I'm gonna, normally I would wash this brush, but you know what I'm gonna do instead? I've got a paper towel that I had here from earlier. I'm just gonna wipe this down a bit, and then I'm just gonna dip into my white and add some gray. Grab some of that white that I had there. I'm just gonna do some gray now. All right, so how many of you folks are also painting along with me? Susan asks, have I ever used pigments to mix with my paints? I have not. I have not tried that at all. My first thought is that that's too much work. I like to be able to just get my stuff and get going. I've seen other artists do that, and I think it looks pretty cool, but haven't tried it myself. All right, good. Tammy's painting along with me, and Laura, and Amelia. I think it's Amelia. Sorry, I've got one contact in my eye and my glasses on, so it's kind of blurry for me. And Tina looks like she's painting along with me too. All right, so now I'm going to make a decision. What mood am I in? Am I in a pink warm color mood, or am I in a cooler color mood? You know what? Let's just go with pinks with the warm colors. This is my little travel size. I think this is quinacridone red. So let's get some of that. I'm going to switch brushes. I like the smaller brush here. I'm just going to put some of this out. Quinacridone red is a transparent color, so it blends nicely. If you add some white to it, you can really see it. So I love using that. Look at that. Isn't that color gorgeous? Add some more white to that. Just put down some marks here. This is red. I'm trying to think. It's either Parole red or cadmium red medium, one of the two that I have. Now this one I don't like to mix with white because I don't like the pink color that it creates. It's kind of an ugly pink in my opinion. So I tend to use this one straight out of the jar, or sometimes I'll mix yellow to create a nice orange. All right, we'll just put down some marks here. When I'm working small, I really like using these really small brushes. I got a lot on the edges there, so I'm just going to offload that a bit. All right, so I've got the red. I also have fluorescent magenta. These are all Nova colors that I'm using, other than the gold and black that I used earlier. So this is a beautiful color. And again, mix some white into that. And that's just a yummy pink. Put it next to this other pink. You can tell it's just a little bit brighter, a little bit happier. Let's see, let me flip through and see if there's any questions I can answer. Thank you all for painting along with me. Do I ever use gel mediums? I don't. Or no, I shouldn't say I don't. I should say I rarely do. Sometimes I will use, oh shoot, now the word just escaped my head. Glazing medium. Sometimes I'll use glazing medium, but that would be the only one. And again, I don't use it that often because it takes too long to dry and I have no patience. So I want to start painting, or I want to continue painting. So I tend to use it very sparingly. I have to be in the mood, in a very patient mood if I'm going to use that. All right, I've got yellows here too. Cadmium Yellow medium, which is one of my favorite yellows. Let's see. And if I miss a question, you guys just repeat it again and maybe I'll catch it the second time. Again, I'm trying to multitask here. Thank you, Cheryl. Very sweet of you. What kind of brush? Oh, Christina, it's just a cheap brush. I have no idea. I only buy the cheap ones. So usually at Michael's, whatever's on sale, I'll get. Let's see. All right. Yeah, Lindy, you probably do need Glacium medium to extend the paint drying time in the desert. I agree with you there. All right, so Kathy, I am using all acrylic paints. I only like acrylic paints because they dry fast. Oil paints take too long. I don't even like to use oil sticks because they just take far too long to dry. All right, and here I've got Indian yellow, my other favorite yellow. You could tell I'm a total double dipper. Gotta love that, right? I never know what color I'm gonna get. It's always a surprise. And I'm okay with that. All right, so I'm gonna just kind of mix my two yellows together here. Let's add some more shapes. You know, on this stage, anything goes. I like to just make all kinds of marks, not spend too much time thinking about it. See, I can talk and do this. So that shows you that I'm really not paying too much attention in this stage of the process. Just having some fun putting down all kinds of marks. Because I find that the more marks I put down at this stage, the more choices I have later. Oh, so I mixed a little yellow into that fluorescent magenta. Okay, isn't that just yummy? I don't know that you can really distinguish these colors, but it's this really yummy kind of coral color. It's just gorgeous. I'll hold this up so you guys can kind of see what's going on here. Oh, that's not focusing too well, huh? All right. So let me add some more marks. Now, I do like to kind of change out my brush on occasion, although sometimes I get stuck using the same one for far too long. So let's change it out. Let's switch over to, so I've got this one that's got the longer bristles on it, but not quite as long as this one here, which is a rigger. So it's got, or also known as a script brush. And this one you've got to get wet. Normally I paint with a very dry palette, or a dry brush, I should say. But this one, in order to get it to really move around, excuse me, you've got to really wet it down. So it makes some nice fine lines. Add some white. So that's a fun way to put down some more shapes. Let me scroll through. Let's see. Oh, IKEA's got some fun brushes. Cool. So yeah, so Lena, varnish. Yes, I do varnish at the very end. So after I photograph my artwork, then I do the varnishing because I want my artwork to be very flat when I go to photograph it so that there's no reflections. And then I like to use a fixative. So I've got a fixative here. This is Krylon Fixative. I love this one. And what it does, it just protects all of that mark making that I do at the very end, so that when I put down my varnish, I love using the Liquitex varnishes. This one's a satin. I also use the matte or the gloss. And so by using this first, one spray of this first, that'll hold all the marks. And then when I use the liquid varnish over it, it won't smudge all my marks, including my signature, which is always done in pencil. So that's always worked out well for me. All right, so in addition to making lines with this, I love that I can just flatten it out and make some more marks with it, kind of a little bit thicker. Let's see, where should I go? Ooh, isn't that pink gorgeous? Look at that pink. Yum. Somebody was, there was another artist that was using this really pale pink. I think I may have just created it. I was going to message her and ask her what she was using, but I think she mixes colors as she goes. So it was just beautiful. All right. I'm just going to do some more marks here. That's probably enough. I may have put too much on my palette, but I'm going to reuse some of those in a bit here. Let's see what else we've got going. Let's see. Tracy says you keep the corners clear. Tracy, yeah, I think what you mean, and I'm already doing it here. I should put more marks on my corners, huh? That'll add more interest underneath. I do like to have my corners be more my quiet areas, and the middle kind of more busy, more stuff going on. Yes, Sharon, more white in the corners. Yep. Okay, do you use varnish paper or only? Okay, so Cynthia, I varnish all my pieces, whether they're on paper, canvas, or wood. Let me take a sip here. All right. Hi, Irene. Good to see you here. Do you have a time limit to paint? I can't go over 2 hours at a time, and then I step away from it. So Irene, it depends. Sometimes when I'm working smaller, you know, I may finish a piece and call it done. If I'm working large, I may, you know, take little breaks and then come back to it. But I just kind of go with my gut in terms of, you know, how I'm feeling that day. Am I feeling motivated to continue, or is it time to take a break and come back to it? Sharon, yes, spraying it outside is best. Let's see. What kind of camera do you use to photograph your art? I use my brand new Galaxy S20 Edge. The artwork that I offer for prints are not large, so I go with what I can do, but this provides enough that I can get it to about a 20 by 20 and have it look really good. And I've purchased the artwork myself that's been printed to just make sure that it looked good. And I was really pleased with it. Let's see. Anna, are you receiving my messages? I'm not sure. Do I use gesso? Yes. Lena, I'm using gesso right now. What was the pink color you mixed? Lori, you know I'm going to have a hard time explaining that. So let's see. I used quinacridone red that I had in a pile here, and then I had some white, and then whatever was on my brush, a little bit of yellow and a little bit of the fluorescent magenta. So you know that as I'm always mixing as I go, so I can never recreate a color. Question, do you ever turn your canvas? No, I do not. I don't like doing that. I find that I used to try to do that, and I just yeah, I didn't like it. I didn't like turning it. I create in one direction, and I like it that way. So doing what works for me. I'm working on paper, Susan. This is Bristol paper, and it is a 9 by 12. So Bristol paper that I varnished. Excuse me, not varnished. We're not done yet. I put down layer gesso on it. All right, I'm just looking at making just a few more marks here before I call it done for this layer. Let's see, use up a little bit more of this paint. All right, I'm going to call that good. All right, so that's what it's looking like so far. Just kind of a hodgepodge of all kinds of marks. Jeanette, excuse me, God, I'm having issues with my throat this morning. Do I varnish behind glass? Excuse me, frame behind glass. Jeanette, yes, I do. If I'm, when I used to do art festivals, I would matte a lot of them and have them available just matted, and some of them I would matte and frame. All right, so I'm going to put away all these bright, happy colors here. And let's move to the cool colors. All right, so let's see. What camera are you using to do the Facebook Live? I am using, it's a Logitech. Let's see, what does it say? HD 1080p. It's a streaming camera. Webcam, I guess is what it's called. All right, just closing these up now. Let's bring out some cool colors. So I've got a blue-green here, which is a gorgeous color. Look at that color. Yum. Let's see. Let's go with my other favorite, which is, of course, phthalo turquoise. I have all these are 4-ounce jars that I bought for travel for teaching this year. And yeah, that didn't happen. I've already canceled 2 of mine, postponed 2. So I'm just going to be using these here in the studio this year. All right, Lynn, hello from Albuquerque. Glad you can be here. Let's see if you guys missed anything. This is going to be recorded and put up, so you can certainly watch it over and over again if you'd like. All right, so Diane asked if I let the layers dry completely. Not entirely. For the most part, these are already dry. They're only that yellow that I just did. So they dry pretty quickly, but I'm not going to worry about it too much. I'm just going to move on to the next layer. So let me grab my brush here. So I've got 2 blues. Hold on. Let's put out another blue. Let's go with, I've got phthalo blue, but you know what? I really love the cerulean. I have a hard time with some of these. Cerulean blue hue. I really love this color, mixed with white. Absolutely beautiful blue color, kind of like a sky. I'm going to go with some more yellow. Just going to open these up so that I have them available. And let's see, let me clean this palette off. My palette knife has got a ton of paint, of gesso stuck on it, so give me a sec. All right, well, I got most of it off. I am not a neat and organized painter, I'll tell you that much. All right, I'm putting out some more yellow here. And let's go with a little bit more of the Indian yellow. All right. And normally I just have my jars open. They don't dry out that fast. However, yesterday was in the upper 90s. Today's going to hit the upper 90s as well. So my studio right now is fairly cool. Okay, so let's go with putting out a few of these blues. I'm just going to put out a tiny bit. You know, a tiny bit goes a long ways. Put out some phthalo turquoise. And this is the blue-green. All right. And if you're interested in wanting to know what my favorite art supplies are, if you go to my website, which is bettykraussart.com, and you go over to workshops, which I think is the last link, and you'll see there'll be a tab or a page for my favorite art supplies. So you can check that out. All the stuff I'm using here today is listed on there, including the Stabilos that I used before. I also use Prismacolor pencils. Those are listed on there. So lots of stuff listed there. All right, I still have enough white here, so I think I'm just going to use some of that and mix it in with my blues now, or my cool colors. And I've got a little bit of paint on here from my warm colors, but that's okay. All right, so I'm going to kind of do the same thing I already did, is I'm just going to come in here and add some more marks. Oh, I like that blue. See, adding that blue to the blue-green. So pretty. Let me add some more white to that. Oh, it needs more white. Let me see. Over here. Make a new pot of color. All right. What other color? Oh, then I've got my turquoise here. Adding white to that. So I'm just going to continue making marks. Maybe some in my corners too, because when I go to cover that up later, it'll be more interesting if I can see some previous colors poking through. Add some more white. Oh, I love that baby blue next to that baby pink. So pretty. Okay, so I'm actually starting to fill in. I just kind of automatically go to that. Start filling in here and there. So I'm skipping areas, kind of deciding what I want to keep, what I want to cover up. Oh, I don't like that. Phthalo turquoise I like better when it's got some white to it. It's just a happier color when I add white. Let's see. All right, I'll go through. I know I'm not reading all the questions. Oh, and I've got a neighbor revving up his car. Hopefully you can't hear that. Lena, thank you for following me all these years. Appreciate it. All right, finger dots there, paints on chart. Sorry. Oh, Dina, I'm not sure I understood that. Oh, Marcy. Hi, Marcy. Gesso only on one side. I don't gesso both sides. But I know some folks, you know, it really depends on what part of the country you live in or what part of the world you live in. I get messages from folks who say that their paper curls a lot. And I don't know if you can see mine. Mine's curling just a little bit on the edges. If I stand it on its side, now it's pretty straight. But when it does that, I just tend to do this. I just tend to push it back and straighten it out. And let's see, I've got one here that I worked on Sunday. And so it's pretty flat. I just left it here to dry. This one's kind of coming to the close to the final stages. But I just tend to pull back on the corners. All right, let's go back to, okay, let's see. The second blue, let's see. I've got cerulean, C-E-R-U-L-E-A-N, blue hue. Cerulean blue hue, phthalo turquoise, and blue green. Okay, I was going to read some more of these. Yes, Lisa, sorry, I had to cancel Fort Collins. It's not going to work yet. This crazy coronavirus is kind of putting a damper on things. Let's see. All right. Okay, I'm trying to skip down. Okay. Can you guys hear my neighbors revving up his car? I'm wondering how much you guys can hear. Let's see. Okay. I've skipped through a few of these. I'm trying to read them all. Sharon, I'm using Bristol paper. It's on my favorite list of favorite art supplies, which is under bettykraussart.com, and then go over to workshops. Yeah, Tracy, you probably do have to put gesso on both sides in Florida. Much more humidity there. I don't add water, Bonnie, to my paints. Oh, Dina, yes, yes. So Nova Color will send out a color chart. You know, I don't have one handy here, but they'll send out a color chart with actual they actually put the paint right onto the color chart so that you can see the actual color. Because I'm going to tell you right now, this phthalo turquoise on the website looks like kind of a green, more of a green color than a turquoise color. Okay, let's see, 9 by 12. Thanks, guys, for jumping in and answering some of the questions. I appreciate it. Feel free to answer questions for others if Oh, Marcy, can't hear the neighbor. Thank you. Okay. Looks like Trina can barely hear him. Hi, Pat. I had a lot of fun painting with Pat live. Was it? I think it was last Friday. I don't remember now. 2 Fridays ago? 2 Fridays ago. Something like that. We had a lot of fun. Okay. Oh, Pat, yeah, that's a good idea for folks where your ends are curling. You can tape it down. I don't like to tape mine down because I like to, I don't know, this thing about picking it up and moving it around. Um, so I tend to never tape mine down, but that's a great solution if you're having issues with it curling. Tape it down. All right, let's continue here. Add some more colors. Back to my paints. You know, I really want to do that blue by itself, but I think I'm going to need some more gesso because I kind of mucked it up over here. I've got all kinds of colors in it. Well, let's just go with mucking it up. You can't see this, I'm slightly off, but I've got some green now. I added some yellow to make green. So when Pat and I were live, she really challenged me with her minimum palette colors. And although sometimes I do like to work with a minimal palette, boy, that green that we use, which was yellow green by Nova, notice it's not part of my collection over here. I have it set aside. And this green was really challenging for me. I wasn't happy with it. I had to add yellow to it after our live session so that I could finish my painting. But sometimes it's good to be challenged. And what happens, you know, you learn what works and what doesn't work. So don't be afraid to try different things and see what you like and see what you don't like. I really think that being creative is a very personal thing, and some things work for some folks and you know, doesn't work for other folks. So you got to figure out what you like. You know, like somebody was asking me earlier about turning my page. Like I said, I've done that before. You know, I worked with an artist who said, "Oh yeah, you've got to turn it," and that just didn't work for me. So I stopped doing it. Stopped feeling like I had to do it because other people were doing it or other people said I had to do it that way. All right, kind of going with this blue color, some more blue. I think mixing colors is probably as fun for me, if not more fun sometimes than actually creating the painting. I just love seeing what colors I can come up with and how they play together. All fun stuff. Okay, I said I was going to get some more gesso out. I'm really low on that now. So let's put some more. Oh, I got a ton here. Where am I going to put this? I'm going to smear it across here so that I can dip into it. All right. That should be enough for a little bit. Like I said, I go through a lot of gesso, a lot of my white paint, because I add it to all my colors. All right, let's see. Dana. Hi, Dana. How do I talk and paint? Yeah, I don't know. Just try. All right. What do you like about Nova Paint? So Anna, what I love about Nova Paint is their color selection. So a lot of good colors to choose from. I love their, certainly the price of their paints is very reasonable. And, you know, I've used golden paints in the past. I still have some. I've got the, everyone knows green gold by Golden is absolutely gorgeous. So I do have a bottle here. But here's what happens is I know how much I paid for this, which was probably like $28, I want to say. And so I'll only put out a little tiny dot of it because it's so precious and I don't want to waste it. So I'm trying to be really, really careful with it. Whereas you can see my Novas, I'm like, don't care how much I put out. Oh, look at that green. See, this is what I mean. Some colors you just got to have. So with the Nova, I'm not afraid to just pour it out, and I don't think about it. I don't think about, oh, you know, how much of that paint am I using up? Am I using all of it? Or is it going to just dry up on my palette and go to waste? So I never think of any of my paints as going to waste. So that's the other reason I love Nova paints, because I don't worry about that. And so when I don't worry about it, it gives me the freedom to just paint and create and do my thing. And like I said, it's the last thing I think about. I'm thinking more about my colors and composition than I am about whether or not I'm wasting paint. All right, filling in my corner. Oh God, that blue is just beautiful. And I'm gonna turn that around, make some marks with it. All right, so at this point, I'd like to start filling in. And so I've got, you can see my warm colors underneath, and now I've got my cool colors, my blues and greens. So I'm, you know, deciding, do I keep some blues? Do I keep some of the warm colors? So as I start painting through and covering things up, I just kind of make decisions as I go about what I want to keep and what I want to cover up. Let's see if I've got some. Tina, I recommend the Nova Gesso. Love their gesso. Although in the past I've also used Liquitex, and I love their gesso as well. Okay. Raw Sienna Yellow. That sounds pretty. I think I've got one here somewhere. I don't know where. Pat. Oh, that's a good idea. So Pat says if you're working on a smaller surface, you can just put it on a board, and that way you can still pick it up and move it around if you need to. Mary, this will not replay on YouTube, but it will replay on my Facebook page. All right. Let's see, limited palette. Yeah, everyone's commenting about the limited palette. Let's see. Okay, just kind of trying to find questions here. Okay, do you ever play music when you paint? If so, what kind? So Christy, I don't play music all that often. If I do, it's usually on Pandora, like I have a David Gray station, or I have a Rolling Stones station. Sometimes I listen to top 90s or 80s. You know, I'm an 80s girl, so I love listening to that. But I usually like to listen to podcasts. And the reason for that is because then it engages the left side of my brain, so my right brain can be creative and not judgmental, not listening to the left brain being judgmental about what I'm doing. And so it really, I found that it helps me immensely when I am creating to just listen to somebody talking, listening to a podcast, sometimes I listen to YouTube, business stuff on YouTube I'll listen to. So I'm always learning, trying to, you know, learn something new. So that's what I like to do. But on occasion I say, you know, I've had enough of listening to people talk, so I do put on some music. All right, so I'm feeling like this is getting like just all blues now, with some greens, not as much as my reds showing through. So Dana, to your comment, no, I can't always create and talk at the same time because I'm feeling like I'm not really getting anywhere here. So I'm going to actually answer some more questions for you guys. And then I'm going to pull up one of my pieces that are close to done, just kind of show you what I like to do to finish them up. All right. Let's see. Okay. Yep. Goldens are pricey. I agree. I agree. Okay, why use the crayons and pencils if they are covered up with paint? So Kathy, it's just part of my process. It's just my way of creating. I know that they're there, and I cannot skip them and go right to this stage. And honestly, if I did, you know, you would not get all the interesting marks and texture and just a small, you know, pencil mark showing through somewhere. For example, here's a little bit of yellow showing through from my pencil mark. So if I skip those stages, to me, my painting would feel very flat. And that's why I don't, you know, I don't like to just skip that and go right to, honestly, I couldn't even go straight to just creating a finished piece. I don't think I would know how to do that because I've always been a mark maker, and I've always been a person that likes to build up layers. Back when I used to do a lot of collaging, I would build up layers that way too. So the question is, Anaga, I'm not sure if I pronounced your name correctly. Do you ever decide your color scheme for the day before you start painting? I certainly don't. Like I said earlier, it's like, okay, what mood am I in? What colors do I want to start with? And I kind of just let the painting kind of dictate where it's going to take me. You know, sometimes I might say, oh, I would like to do a warm painting. So I'm not even being specific about the colors. I'm just narrowing it down to warm colors versus cool colors. So that's probably to the extent that I will plan out doing it painting in terms of colors. Okay. Let's see. Mary, thanks for being here. How to make pretty soft peach color? I don't know. That's a good question. I just kind of mix stuff together and figure that out. How do I know what to block out? So Karen, I don't. I just kind of go with how I'm feeling and see what makes sense, what I want to keep, what I don't want to keep. I'm switching now back to my pinks, adding a little bit more. I'm feeling like there aren't enough elements in this, so I've really got to be able to get back into it and kind of make some areas stand out more and add some more interest in some areas. Okay, so so as a rule, do you figure out what you want your top colors to be, either warms or cools? And then, yeah, I do, Jessica. So like I said, sometimes I say, okay, I think I want, not always, but sometimes I'll say I'd like the painting to be warm colors. And then I'm just going to build up until I get to my warm colors. Let's see. Things aren't dry, so getting lots of smearing. So Dana, hit it with a heating tool or hair dryer. Let's see. Okay. All right. Favorite YouTube channels for art and business? Oh, good question. I do like to follow, and actually she's actually on Instagram, Subi Zimmerman, the Instagram expert. She's got a lot of great advice, and her videos are great because they are quick. They're usually like 5 to, I think, 10 minutes tops. And I used to listen to her all the time. Like I would just play one after another, and you know, I don't even take notes. You know, in my head, I just like will grasp something that she said, and then I'll try to implement that. Because when I'm painting, it's hard for me to stop and take notes. But I do enjoy listening to her. off the top of my head, I can't really think of anybody else because I listen to podcasts more often. So there's, oh, let's see, what is her name? Oh, oh, you know what? I'm not sure if I transferred them over to my new phone or not, but I'll tell you my podcast app. Oh, shoot, it's still on my old phone. I haven't put them on here. All right. Well, that's not going to help. The Left Brain Artist is a really good podcast to listen to. And I was interviewed on there too, so you can scroll down and find me. But there's other ones. There's, my brain's going blank. Jenna Kutcher is, oh, sorry guys, my brain's going blank. I'm trying to paint and trying to think of some of those, but there's a few good ones that I like to listen to. Maybe I'll post that later and do a screenshot for you guys of the ones that I like to listen to that are business related. Okay. Let's see. Can you use pastels for mark making or water-based markers? Maureen, absolutely. All of the woodies are water-based. My Neocolor 2s are water-based. So these are all water-based. I also have Neocolor 1 somewhere here. Those are not water-based, so those are good to use too. So yeah, absolutely. Mix it up, and it really depends on the person. You know, I like putting down marks and having them, you know, disappear, smudge into something else. You know, but some folks, you know, want that particular mark to stay exactly where it is. And that's where, if that's the case, you want to do a fixative before you move forward, or you may want to, you can also use like a gel medium over it to protect it. But that might smudge it just a little bit. Yep, I'm talking and trying to make some more marks back to this one. All right, let's go down. Thanks for being here, Pat. Okay, started Nova Colors January. Alina, yes, so that's why I buy the cheap ones. So the bristles can get destroyed pretty quickly, especially the way I paint. I mean, none of my brushes are precious to me, so I like to just pretty much destroy them. I really beat them up. Let's see. Jennifer, thanks for being here. Yep, okay. Yeah, I use the same process, Rebecca, for working larger on canvas, but honestly, it's a little bit harder for me to do this exact same process because, of course, on canvas, it's not flat like paper is. You've got fabric that you're working with, and then making these marks into larger, trying to scale them up is always a challenge for me. Let's see. I do plan to do another Paint with Betty workshop. So if you want to get on my email list, folks on my email list will be notified first, and then they also get a discount. So join my email list. Just go to my website, and if you try to exit my website, you'll get the pop-over that will have you sign up, or go over to where it says join email list. How do you find characteristics of Nova paints compared to Golden? Oh, Jeslyn, good question. I feel that they're very similar in terms of pigmentation. In terms of, these tend to be, I don't know, these might be a little bit drier, but these tend to be pretty thick. It's probably hard to see that moving around, but these tend to be a bit thicker than the golden fluid acrylics, but not by much. Let's see. Ruth, thanks for being here and watching. What sizes brushes do you use for a 36 by 36 canvas? Rosalind, I use something larger. I don't have them all here. They're in my other studio in downtown San Jose. So I don't know. What is this? This is probably something like a 12 or 14, 16, something like that. So, you know, I get it appropriate to the size of the canvas that I'm working on. However, that being said, when I'm working on my large canvases, 36 by 36, I'm also using a rigger to make marks. So adding a variety there. Karen, I'm going to have to list the podcasts that I listen to because I can't remember them off the top of my head, and they're not on my new phone yet. Okay, so some questions are being repeated. Let's see. Okay. Okay, Carol says, please spell the name of the last two artists you follow. Who did I say I followed? I'm not even sure. Sorry, you guys, I'm talking, but I don't recall specifically what I said. All right, how did you discover your style and your technique? So after many years of creating and trying different things on, I just slowly, when I look at my work, I can kind of see my style developing very slowly over the years, like bits and pieces of it. And I would have to say, you know, through lots of time spent creating and trying different things, experimenting, and really comes down to just putting in the time. I think after a while you start to know what you really like and what works for you and what you enjoy. So I think that just that's just a process you've got to go through and keep at it until you figure out what you like to do. All right, how do I know when to stop? I know when I get towards the end, when I just can't make any more marks, and I can't do anything more to make it better, I guess. But certainly, you know, if I let it sit for several days, I will come back to it and probably find something that I think that I can do differently or better. So this is one that I worked on the other day. You know, I'm nearing completion, but I'm not feeling like it's 100% done. I think there's some more things that I can do here. But I'm going to show you some mark making that I like to do. And I don't know that I'm going to get to all your questions here. I'm trying to get towards the bottom here. Oh, Jenna Kutchner. I don't even know how to spell her name. It's Jenna Kutchner, Kut. Yeah, Chner, something like that. I'm trying to remember, does somebody know Jenna Kutchner, and what is the name of her podcast? Seriously, it has completely escaped my brain. All right, so let me show you. So typically I'll take like colors that I've already got here, and I always end up starting with the pencil, just a normal #2 pencil. And I just come in and I start making marks on top of marks. So maybe some pencil marks here, maybe some lines over here. Then I'll switch it out. Here's a nice pink. Add some lines with the pink. Maybe add some circle. I'm probably going to end up covering these up, but I'll just put some circles around them for now. So my mark making at the end is a lot more intentional than it was at the beginning. Here's my favorite teal colored. This is a Prismacolor pencil, and I love this color. So sometimes I just go right over something that I've already put down. Sometimes I like to rub it in a bit so it doesn't quite look like a pencil mark. It looks more painterly. This has got a bunch of little nubs on it. Let's see, make some circles here. I love this teal with the brown background. Let's see if I can, I don't know if that's going to focus or not. So right in there. And a lot of this mark making, you know, at the end tends to be, you know, something that really doesn't stand out greatly. It just kind of is the finishing touch, maybe adds a little bit more to the painting. This is a Neo Color 2. I'm just kind of smudging around with my fingers, just softening up those edges a bit. So, and the other thing I was showing, if you go to my Instagram channel, my IGTV channel, I just did a video on using a variety of different mark making tools. And one thing that I talked about there, and here's the China marker here, and one thing that I talked about is if you don't like something, you can just come in and erase it. So that yellow that I put that looks like Indian yellow around this one, so it's completely gone. So you can, you know, don't be afraid to put down marks, and then if you don't like them, you can certainly erase them. Same for the Prismacolor pencils. If I put down a mark that I don't like, I can just come in and I can erase it. So it kind of gives you a lot more freedom in exploring and trying things out by not being afraid, you know, just knowing that you can erase it if you really don't like it. So, all right, so that's about it for today. Let me see if there's just a few more questions that I can answer for you. Let's see. Oh, Gold Digger, thank you. I'm like racking my brain. Thanks, Jennifer. Yes, Gold Digger, that's a really good podcast. Love listening to her. And then there's another one. Thank you. You guys put it right in there. You guys are awesome. And there's another lady out there too that does, how to make online marketing easy or something to that effect. Seriously, I'm just having senior moments here. I can't think of any names, but that's a really good one too. Online marketing made easy. That's it. Go to your podcast app and type in online marketing made easy. And she's really great. She's got a ton of great information. Okay, so again, if you want to know about my art supplies, I'll add it to the notes. So once I'm done here, this is going to save to my Facebook page so that you can rewatch it. But I'll also include a link. So if you're interested in the art supplies that I like to use, including my paper, my paints, I pretty much have everything listed in there. So that's my favorite art supplies, which is on my website under workshops, or if you go to my Instagram channel page and you go to my link in bio, you can get to it that way. And then also if, so I've got several new pieces on paper that I wanted to show you guys really quick. So these are done. So these I just finished. These are 5x7s. These are my Friendship Flower series, where I create these while I am on Zoom talking with friends, art friends, and we're all creating together. And this is the one that I did with Pat. I did live, and I finished this one up, adding yellow to it. And here's a new one. Oh yeah, and I did title it. I just finished this one on Sunday. So all of these are going to be available to the folks on my email list. They get first dibs for all of my art on paper. So if you want to join my email list, the next email going out for all of these is going to be Tuesday, June 2nd at noon Pacific time. So that's when it'll go out. The last set that I sent out, which was about a dozen of them, sold out in a few hours. So if you want to mark your calendar, if you're interested in my smaller works on paper, I've got about 5 more of these, and I'm going to be creating more this week. These are the 5x7s, matted out to 8x10, and those are $85 each. So join my email list. Just head over to bettykrauseart.com and click on the link where it says email sign up. And I'm going to finish up these. Definitely get that one finished up, and hopefully I'll get those done for the Monday email that's going to go out. So thanks guys for joining me today, for hanging out with me and painting with me. Appreciate all the questions that you had, and if I didn't get to all of them, I apologize. I'll probably do another one of these live sessions, and happy to answer some more questions for you in the future. All right, guys, have yourself a fabulous week. Stay healthy, stay sane, and keep on creating. All right, take care. Bye.